All right, should be up and running here. So should be live, should be able to see charts, should be able to hear me. We'll be going over the market and also going over today's plays. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for October 1st, 2021. Q's up 0.8, SPY up 1.4, and then IWM up 1.8. So today, the kind of performance, the balance between the three, pretty typical for what we've seen the past week. Q's kind of leading on the way down. IWM putting up the biggest fight, not willing to go down, and then SPY in the middle. We came into today bearish on the Qs and SPY and neutral on the IWM, right? And the IWM, the reason for that, we were actually just going over this in the room, is that we're not getting lower lows and lower highs. We're not getting higher highs and higher lows. We're actually getting a mix here. So we're getting higher lows and lower highs, right? So that's not really a trend, okay, that we're getting. But the IWM is not bearish because it's not doing the same sell setup that the SPY and the Qs were doing on the daily chart. And like we just discussed, that if we get back over this 222.70, it's actually trying to put in a higher low, triggering a bit of a buy setup there, okay? So IWM here, we're going to keep this neutral as we have, just because it's been going back and forth across, the 20 MA on the daily, the weekly, right? Back and forth, back and forth. So that's pretty neutral. And price is going back and forth across 20 MA, that's usually a sideways trend. Okay, and so we'll let the IWM, if it takes out this pivot, we'll have to be bullish on this. But we'll deal with that when it gets there, okay? Now, for the more interesting ones, I think the Qs and the SPY, just because they're equated with the larger market in general. What we have today, we got the breakdown this morning. Market found, has been making new lows, at least in this recent trend here, and then found some support. So what the parallel is here is the last time we got this bounce that led to the daily sell setup. See how the bounce is starting with a wide range green bar, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if this move gets more follow through. But to keep it simple, on Monday, if we break below 359.90, so we won't need to do much, right, to get there, 359.90. If we break below that on the Qs, I'll have my new pivot, okay? So as long as we stay below 361.25, then I'll stay bearish, okay? So that'll be the plan for Monday. Once we trigger this hourly sell setup, so hourly sell setup, right, we've got a pivot in the context of a downtrend, right? So I'm expecting that we should on Monday. It really won't take much, but let's say we gap up instead, and we hold, we don't just come right back in, then I'll have to be neutral until we get the daily sell setup. Okay, so that's what got things rolling last time. Here was the daily sell setup that we were watching for. So we'll get a retracement into the declining 20 again on the daily, and that'll be the next point where we'll see if we move lower again. SPY, same thing, it would have to be a retracement back to resistance, and then we'll see if we put the next leg down. So the SPY here would have to be under 434. Okay, if on Monday we gap down a little bit or we sell off and trigger that, that'll be kind of easy for me to have today's high 436.03 as the pivot point. As long as we stay below that, then I'll just remain bearish, okay? Because it'll just be continuation of the trend. I was saying it's probably likely that we're going to trigger that and then it's going to fail because we are starting with a wide range green bar. Just like I said when it happened here, that's not how you want to see a sell setup start. That doesn't bode well for the next sell setup coming in easily. Again, we have a wide range red bar. But I just want to do one thing at a time, right? So first thing will be the hourly. Okay, if the hourly triggers a sell setup, right, then we'll see what the follow through is. If that fails, then we'll be on our way to a daily sell setup, right? We'll no longer be short-term bearish. And then when that daily sell setup triggers, then that would be kind of the time for the next potential short. And then if the weekly is going to play out here, right, to move up higher, then we'll see all of that happen first on the daily and the hourly. Okay, so that's the plan for the Qs, SPY, and IWM. Okay. All right, let's go over the plays from today. The Omer, if you played this with me, was pretty nice. We had a gap down. So this wasn't initially on the gaps list. Someone in the room was scanning in the pre-market and found it. So, you know, great contribution. It's really nice. This wasn't on my list initially. I think it started, the gap actually didn't occur until, yeah, I think 30 minutes or so before the open. So we start the scanning for the gaps an hour and a half before the open. So, you know, 30 minutes this showed up before the open. So that's great. And this immediately became one of the favorite gap downs because it was just really bearish, clearing a lot of support. And so that's a really nice bearish gap down. Okay. And then the Omer ended up being you could have played it as a 1 minute high low here. The way that I called it was a base breakdown right here. All of that. What you saw highlighted there, actually, it was a 2 minute sell setup as well. So it started moving lower first, puts in a little bit of a retracement there, a series of higher lows, and then triggers underneath the previous bar's low, and then gets going from there. So that was nice. I think first exit here was 1 minute bar by bar as we got to the first target, 850. 850 came from the daily chart. We had a nice big bottoming tail there on the weekly. So here it is right there. That's the bottom there. On that is 850 exactly. So that was the first target. So that was, I think, an hour and a half or so just right off the bat. So that's nice. Whenever you get the follow through right off the bat, you know, that's always really nice. So that's what we got. And so we just went 1 minute bar by bar there. So when it triggered, you know, just nice follow through there. We got a second leg down. And I said, let's go ahead and take another quarter. And then the last piece was manage 5 minute bar by bar because that had been holding. And just in case it was going to keep on going, that's what, you know, I was planning to look for now. So that's where the last piece came out. Okay. It had plenty more to go. In fact, you know, from where we got out, went another 50 cents off of that. So that's pretty good. You can see the little sell setup here. So, you know, a lot of sell setups on this Omer. Kind of the central theme to today's video, although not intentional, is just, yeah, see these sell setups. We got a downtrend, we get a retracement now, and then as we create this pivot, right, underneath the pivot, next leg down is what we would be looking for. Level of retracement's good on this. Here's the move. Here's about 40 to 60. That's what we want. So that looks pretty good as far as halfway point before the next move. We were already out of it, though, for this last series down. So I know some people replayed it, so that's great. If you replayed it, also could have stuck with it and just, you know, been willing to live through the pullback because, yeah, it was just having a really bearish event happen on the every time frame. Weekly, you can see, doesn't look good anymore. Monthly, you know, down, I guess, yeah, because today's the first day. It looks like a big gap on the monthly, but it's just, yeah, because today's the first. But there it is on the daily. So that was nice. And then after that, gave you numbers for the GH. Ended up letting this one go. I wasn't that comfortable with the spread here on the GH. Very similar type of play. It's a pro gap again, and then it's a breakdown at the lows. Okay, right off the declining 20 MA there on the 5. I know some people played this as well. And then the targets that I gave were 103 around there as kind of the beginning of this move up. So low there ended up being 102. So yeah, I mean, that was more than a 2-hour play. I think at 103, that was about 2 hours. So that was pretty decent as well. Okay. All right. So that's going to do it for today's market wrap. Looks like we just closed here. We can take a look at where we're going to finish up. Yeah. So we just need to get underneath this hourly bar. The numbers should all still be the same. Once we break under that bar, I'll be able to use today's high as the new pivot there. And then if we are going to move up higher, we should fail on that. So that'll be the new reference point. Okay. All right. Hope you did well this week. We'll be back at it on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone.